Okay guys, so this video and the next one are essentially AUs that center around certain monsters. Yeah, they're not really interconnected, it's more like, wouldn't this be fun? And this one is going to be Ladybug and vampires. Now, this one is a vampire AU, but it's not like in the sense where it's a totally different universe. Well, it does become a totally different universe, but hear me out. Basically, this was very inspired by Batman Red Rain, which was the Elseworld story in which Batman became a vampire. This was the inspiration for it was Batman Red Rain. Now, in this story, it follows a very similar kind of Ladybug kind of story, and in here, however, Ladybug and the rest of the miraculous team are investigating a series of disappearances and then bodies found later on with just completely drained of blood. And their first assumption, like, it's not a vampire. Well, it is a vampire, but it's probably like an akumatized villain who is made into a vampire, and that's their assumption. Is that that's what it is that it's it's just an Akuma who has been made to be a vampire-like villain. So while they're scouring the whole area, Ladybug finds the culprit, and it's not an Akuma. It's not Akuma. Yeah, I was trying to do it's not a Tuma joke, but whatever. Moving on. Who it turns out to be is Carmilla. Now, if you don't know who Carmilla is a vampire from a horror novel that predates Dracula by, I'd say, a little over a decade. And that's technically one of the first major vampire novels. Now, Carmilla has been awoken. Carmilla was awoken in the catacombs of Paris after some construction went on, and some construction workers accidentally disturbed her grave, and she was freed. So Carmilla is now building her own undead army, and sees all the power in Ladybug because there was a time where she knows about the miraculous, and a Ladybug in the past managed to defeat her. So she's like, oh well, maybe I'll just make this new Ladybug into one of my servants. So Carmilla during the fight bites Marinette and turns her. Problem being is that during the fight, the rest of the I want to say Miraculeague in honor of Nobody Special, who have been forced to cancel all of their work. Thanks, Kappa. Assholes. Anyway, so what happens is that, what happens next is the rest of the miraculous team bust in and essentially free and save Marinette, but the damage is already done. She's been turned into a vampire, and there's no real cure. There's really no cure. It's not like, oh, if we destroy the head vampire, then the curse will be lifted. They go to Master Fu, and that's Cat Noir's first thing, is that, oh, what if we can destroy Carmilla, then the curse will be broken. And Fu's like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. Once you turn for good. So Marinette is obviously upset about that because, yeah, I've been turned into an immortal blood-drinking monster. What the fuck am I gonna do with my life? And Cat Noir is obviously like, oh, my lady has been turned into a monster, and I did nothing. I wasn't able to save her from this fate, and yeah. So Marinette is another thing that is slowly becoming a problem, is that due to her undead nature, Marinette is losing her connection to Tiki, in that when she becomes Ladybug, it kind of shorts out a bit. So what's going on is that the Miraculous need a living host, and since Marinette is no longer among the living, she's undead, that's kind of a problem. So Tiki is slowly losing her connection, and it's just through sheer willpower that Marinette is holding her Ladybug form. So she's like, okay, so I can't save myself, but maybe I can save Paris from being turned by Carmilla. So they plan to essentially kill Carmilla, but the problem is that they don't have the firepower. In enters Hawkmoth, But Hawkmoth has already kind of sold everybody out to Carmilla. Everyone's kind of, he already sold them out because Carmilla promised, hey, if you help me draw out Ladybug and the rest of the Miraculous, I'll not only give... you don't need the Miraculous. I can not only bring your wife back to life, I can not only bring her back, but I can also turn you and her into vampires, and you'll live a life of ruling Paris as king and queen. And your son will be immortal, you'll be the Agress will be immortal, and Paris will be your kingdom. So, Hawkmoth is like, yeah, sounds good, I'm in. So, Hawkmoth, when they go to Hawkmoth and Mayura, and they're like, hey man, Carmilla's kind of a bigger problem, we kind of need all the Miraculous we need. He's like, oh, sure, fam. Psych, by the way, you're all dead. And the vampires all converge. And, yeah, Nino gets torn apart. He gets torn apart. Alia gets her arm ripped off, and Chloe nearly gets disemboweled. And it's then when Marinette just rages out and uses her vampire abilities, and they're augmented even further because of being Ladybug. So all of that just is turned up to 11. So yeah. By the end of it, Ladybug and Hawkmoth, she actually murders Hawkmoth and actually bites him, rips his throat out, and kills him. But when she does, she's like, oh shit, this is Gabriel! I just murdered my love interest's son! I mean, my love interest's dad. Oh yeah, you're probably wondering, well, what about Viperion and all the others? Well, they've all been killed too. Throughout the story, I was thinking, yeah, they all get killed too and turned into vampires, and are more willing to go along with being Carmilla's servants, because they're like, hey, eternal life, we can get what we want, yeah. Yeah. So, there are some, I just didn't mention like, not Nino, like, Luca and all the others, because I'm like, fuck Luca. You already knew he wasn't gonna have a great time here. Carmilla also, thanks to Luca working with him, she finds out about Bunnix and kills Alex right away. Kills and turns Alex to her side as well to keep her from being Bunnix and, using a last resort to save everyone. So, yeah, it looks pretty dark, but during a final fight between Carmilla and Marinette, Marinette manages to kill Carmilla and takes on the mantle, because now there's a bunch of roving vampires around, there's no one to control them, so Marinette takes it upon herself to rule this underground clan of vampires, which some of them are students and what have you, and others are not, but yeah. It's also when this is also when she gives up being Ladybug. She's like, here, I've officially lost my connection to Tiki, and now I'm going to rule over as this underground kingdom of vampires. Maybe I can keep them from being monsters and feed on humans. Maybe we can coexist down in the catacombs of Paris. And that's all. And she gives them to Master Fu and Adrian and Cat Noir, and she's like, here, hold on to these until you get the next Ladybug. Cat Noir reveals that he's Adrian when he finds out, oh shit, the woman I love turns out to be Marinette. I'm fucking stupid, that old chestnut. But at the end of it, he's like, yeah, I love you, and, now we can't, even Adrian begs Marinette to turn him into a vampire as well, and she's like, no, you can't walk this life anymore. It's so ironic. I now totally know that the man I love turned out to be my partner this whole time, but now I can't be with him, nor can I have him live this life. She also tells Adrian that in case all of this goes sideways and she becomes like Carmilla, that Adrian is ordered by her to be like, in case I become the next Carmilla, because God knows I could, you need to take me out. Train yourself to hunt and fight vampires, and stop me if I become like Carmilla. So that's the AU for you, and it ends on a really dour note of Adrian not going to. He goes to Master Fu and he's like, "Look, I don't want to kill my lady, but if the thing calls for it, then what the hell do I do?" so he's like, so Fu goes, look, there's someone I need you to meet, and it turns out to be a descendant of Van Helsing, who offers to train Adrian in the ways of vampire hunting. Also, another thing I forgot to mention is that Alia loses her connection to Trix because she loses Trix and can no longer be Reina Rouge because Carmilla destroys the Miraculous. Because she's like, hey, you can join me or I can just destroy this Miraculous. Destroys hers, and in turn, Adrian gives Alia gives her the earrings, and she takes on the mantle of Ladybug. Because yeah, Paris still needs a Ladybug. Anyway, so there you go, guys. Very much inspired by Batman Red Rain and the Batman Vampire Trilogy. So, hope you all enjoyed this. You guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of this? Like it, hate it, comment below, let me know. And once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm out.